Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our literature unit for the month of September. As you're beginning school here, hopefully things are going smoothly for you. And, of course, as you're getting into your English classes, something that might help you would be to learn about a series of books, I guess, that have been written by this Irish author.
Cool.
That are kind of for young people.
Yeah.
It's like one of those books, a series of books that are mainly for kids, but adults can read them too and enjoy them just as much.
Yeah, there are different types of literature, you could say. Some for very young kids. This isn't for the young kids. This is for preteens and teenagers, and of course for adults as well. If I had a teenager, as a mom, I would read the book too, just to be able to see what they're reading, that we could talk about it together. But as we always do in our literature units, we're going to talk about the plot of the book. Then day 2, we'll talk about the author. And then on the third day, we're going to be talking about some of the themes, some of the messages perhaps the author was trying to communicate. And then we'll wrap it up. So let's get started. This is called Artemis Fowl. Old fairy tales get a modern twist.
Artemis Fowl is a 12-year-old evil genius from a centuries-old Irish organized crime family. His father was captured overseas 2 years before the story begins. Since then, Artemis's mother has suffered from extreme mental stress, leaving Artemis to care for himself. It's fortunate, then, that he's a criminal mastermind. Artemis has discovered that the fairies in old Irish legends actually do exist underground, and he intends to take advantage of them. Artemis and his massive bodyguard and servant Butler obtain the mythical book of the fairies. By using his sharp mind, Artemis translates the text and forms a plan to capture a magical creature. He plans to hold the creature for ransom to acquire the legendary gold at the end of the rainbow. For months, Artemis and Butler monitor several forests until they catch a fairy performing a magical ceremony. The fairy they capture is no ordinary elf, though. She's Captain Holly Short, an officer of the Lower Elements Police Reconnaissance Leprechaun Unit. She's just prevented a terrible incident in the human world by helping capture a violent troll that had wandered to the surface. Now a team of leprechaun fairies come to rescue her using the full extent of their magic as well as their extraordinarily advanced fairy technology. The team physically stops time around Artemis's home and employs dwarf Mulch Diggums, a convicted thief, to tunnel his way into the building. Eventually, though, Artemis collects the ransom gold after he outsmarts the fairies and survives a magical bomb attack. In the end, Artemis makes a deal with Holly to return half the gold if she uses her magic to restore his mother's mental health.
So let's talk about this. We've got a 12-year-old evil genius. He's not just smart, guys. He uses his brain to do bad things. And he is kind of the star of this series of books. There are actually 8 of them altogether. We're going to be talking about the first one. So he's an evil genius from a centuries-old Irish organized crime family. Sadly enough, we have organized crime families from all over the place. We have organized crime families who are Chinese, who are Russian, who are Italian. We've got all kinds of organized crime families, which just means they do illegal things, and if you get in their way, they usually kill you. And the Irish have this as well. So centuries old means this family goes way back hundreds of years, and they've always been involved with organized crime, or what we'd call mafia business.
Yeah, the mafia, like the Russian mafia from Sicily, the Yakuza in Japan, etc.
Oh, yeah.
These are all different kinds of organized crime organizations, and a lot of times they are families, basically.
True.
So, yes, indeed, this is one from Ireland, and he's a member of it, and he's evil. He's a bad kid. He's a rotten kid. His father was captured overseas 2 years ago before the story begins. You'd probably have to read the books to find out exactly how his father was captured. Maybe his father was a Don or something, a mafia leader, and he was caught by a rival gang or something. And since then, Artemis's mother has suffered from extreme mental stress, leaving Artemis to care for himself. So, yeah, I guess here the mother was really distraught, was really bothered by the loss of her husband. So she has all this mental stress, maybe coming from pressure from the crime family and missing her husband who used to take care of all those things, and now she has to. So she's under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. It's mental stress, and basically that means she probably just can't help out. So Artemis has to take care of himself, or as it says here, he has to care for himself. He has to grow up early, and he loses his innocence at a young age, so he did not have a happy childhood. He had to grow up fast.
Yeah. Usually kids who are 12 are still, busy with school. They do fun things with their extra time, but his dad has been gone, so he probably has to help his mom with paying for all the, the household expenses. So, yeah, it sounds like his mom's not much of a mother to him at this point. So he's having to grow up fast. We're calling him a criminal mastermind. If you're a mastermind, it's usually used in a negative way. You're someone who has a very, very bright mind, and you're able to plan and carry out very complex schemes. Usually, you'll hear criminal mastermind on some of these detective shows or police movies where the bad guy is really smart and the police have to use all their weapons to foil his scheme or to get in the way and stop the crime, whatever he's been plotting to do. So he's a criminal mastermind at age 12. That's pretty amazing. So he has discovered that the fairies in old Irish legends actually do exist underground. If you read much about the Irish, they've got some really cute stories that are about leprechauns, those little men in the green suits who bring luck, and the fairies. I'm not quite sure what their fairies do, but they're all kind of fun things that exist in legends. They're not real. They're just fun little stories. A legend is a story that's usually passed down through time, through people. It could be written down, but it also could be passed through word of mouth.
Exactly. So fairies are magical creatures. Oftentimes they're female, and they probably take some kind of human form, and they're from old stories from Ireland, etc.
Yeah.
But he did find out that no, these aren't a myth. They actually do exist, and they exist underground. So all you got to do is figure out how to get down there and find them, and then you can probably use their power to help you with your crimes and stuff like that. So yes, indeed, he intends to take advantage of them. So this is a phrase here that's quite useful, to take advantage of something. That means you use it for your own good. We often say that in a negative sense. Oh, you're just taking advantage of me. You're just using me. You just want to be friends with me because you want to get a job at my father's company or something like that. You're trying to take advantage of me. Or, sometimes boys take advantage of girls on dates or something like that. So in this case, he wants to use those fairies to accomplish his criminal ends.
You can take advantage of in a positive way. Maybe you have a lot of talent in the musical field. You want to take advantage of that talent and maybe look for a job in music. Or maybe you have lots of extra time this weekend. You should take advantage of it and do something you enjoy. But here, it's negative. He's going to use these fairies, and he doesn't care how it affects them. He's going to use them. So that's not a good thing. Artemis and his massive bodyguard and servant, whose name is Butler, They obtain the mythical book of the fairies. Kind of sounds like a book of spells sometimes you hear about with witches and wizards, like Harry Potter. If you use that word massive, it just means really big. Usually it has something to do with the volume of something. Wow, that giant is massive. Or if we're just kind of making fun of maybe zits on your face, you could say, oh, this zit is massive. Ugh. So he's got a really, really big bodyguard who keeps him safe. I bet a lot of the people who are in crime families, mafia families, have bodyguards.
He's massive. Yes, he's probably big and muscular. He's probably 6'8" tall or something like that. So he's a big boy. So, of course, he's a bodyguard. And so they somehow obtained this book. They somehow get this book. Maybe they got it at a secret library somewhere or was buried treasure or something. But
maybe they stole it.
Could be, but I'm sure that's part of a book as to how they actually figured out where the book was and how they got it. So they managed to acquire this book. They obtained the book. And it's mythical, which means people didn't really think it existed before, but now they know it does.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to continue summarizing the plot of our featured work of literature for this month in just a couple of seconds. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tina. 从今天开始，连续3天，我们都要介绍这个天才罪犯 Artemis Fowl。首先来看到，在第一段的第3个句子提到 Since then, Artemis's mother has suffered from extreme mental stress, leaving Artemis to care for himself. 那么因为父亲在国外变成俘虏，从那时候开始 Artemis 的母亲呢就受到了严重的精神压力折磨，让 Artemis 只好自己照顾自己。在这里的 care for 有照料的意思。举个例子来说 Who will care for the house while the family is away? 也就是指全家人都不在的时候，谁会来照料这间房子呢？而 Artemis 在很小的时候就必须要自己照顾自己。接着在第一段中间继续谈到Artemis has discovered that the fairies in old Irish legends actually do exist underground, and he intends to take advantage of them. Artemis 是一个很聪明的人，是一个高级的犯罪策划者，所以他发现了古老爱尔兰传说里面的精灵是真实 do exist underground， 真实的存在地下世界里面，所以他打算呢从中占一些便宜。我们来看一下 legend 这个字，在这里当作是名词，有传说跟传奇故事的意思。譬如说我们讲到古老传说的英雄，就可以说 a hero of an old legend。 legend 同样的拼法也可以延伸出来，指的是传说中的人事物或者是传奇人物。所以他知道这样的传说，他就想要利用这些精灵。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about the plot of Artemis Fowl. And we talked first about, I guess, the protagonist, the guy who is really leading all of this story, and his name is Artemis himself. He's 12 years old, but he's very smart. Unfortunately, he uses his intellect, his brain, his intelligence to do bad things. So we're calling him evil. He's in a very, very old Irish family who's been involved with organized crime for hundreds of years. Now, since his father's gone, he was captured overseas 2 years before the book begins. He is sort of the man of the house, you could say. We sometimes use that phrase, man of the house, if the dad's not around. Maybe a dad has passed away or is in prison. And his mother, unfortunately, kind of loses it. She's under a lot of stress, so she's not there to be a real mother to him. so he has to grow up fast.
She probably sits around the house all day watching Korean soap operas or something like that.
She might, yeah.
But in any case, so he's an evil boy. He's off to conquer the world, and he wants to figure out where these fairies are. They're actually true. They live underground somewhere. He wants to use them. He wants to take advantage of them. So he's got this big, massive bodyguard, and they find this mythical book of the fairies. They obtain it, and by using his sharp mind, Artemis translates the text and forms a plan to capture a magical creature. So, yes, indeed, this book is probably written in the language of the fairies, maybe some old Celtic language or something like that. Who knows?
Gaelic?
Gaelic could be.
Yeah.
And they, of course, are able to translate it because he's such a smart guy. He's a smart cookie. He's got a sharp mind. So he translates it. He figures out what it means and writes out the translation. And therefore, he understands the fairies and he understands how they think and how they work. So he's going to form a plan or create a plan to capture some kind of magical creature.
So he plans to hold the creature for ransom. You'll see this word ransom when you're watching TV shows about someone who's been kidnapped. Bad people grab somebody and then say, we'll give this person back to you, but you have to pay us money first. And that money is called ransom. So, yeah, he plans to hold the creature until he gets the ransom that he wants to acquire the legendary gold at the end of the rainbow. Supposedly, according to Irish myths, when you see a rainbow in the sky, at the very end of the rainbow is a pot of gold. Of course, that's not true, but it's kind of a fun story. And he wants that legendary gold at the end of the rainbow. Who wouldn't? Gold is worth a lot of money, especially nowadays. So for months, Artemis and Butler, his bodyguard, monitor or keep track of several forests until they catch a fairy performing a magical ceremony. Now, these fairies, of course, are kind of like witches and wizards. They can cast spells on people. They're magic. So a magical ceremony would be sort of the process that the fairy goes through, the words that are said. And usually if it's a ceremony, it's something that's very formal. You have to do something in the right order. We use ceremony to talk about marriage ceremony, a wedding ceremony, things like that. Usually it's more of a formal occasion and people dress up. Here, they're performing a magical ceremony, so he's watching very carefully to see what's happening.
Yep, they're kind of taking a peek there. I'm sure the fairy does not know they're watching. And so they spring into action and they capture the fairy. So the fairy that they capture is no ordinary elf, though. So here, I guess we're saying the fairy is also an elf at the same time. An elf, again, is a magical creature. Usually elves are short with pointed ears.
Usually see them with Santa Claus, right?
That's right. Santa and his elves at the North Pole, they make toys.
Little small creatures.
And they're magical in this particular case. So, of course, this fairy is no ordinary elf, though. This is a special kind of elf. Who is this elf? She's Captain Holly Short, an officer of the Lower Elements Police Reconnaissance Unit, or Leprechaun for short. So, yes, you put all those letters, L-E-P leprechaun, leprechaunessence or whatever, and that's also a magical creature in Irish folklore, a leprechaun, which I guess if you find, you'll have lots of luck or something like that.
Yeah, it's very Irish. It comes from their folklore, their old myths and stories. It's usually a small man. Here, of course, though, we're talking about a woman, but usually a very small person who has magical powers, and they are the ones who tell you the location of that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's kind of funny that the author actually uses leprechaun, but spelled differently. The real leprechaun is Leprechaun, leprechaun. So that's clever. Now, Holly, she's just prevented a terrible incident in the human world by helping capture a violent troll that had wandered to the surface. Now, trolls, in any sort of myths or folklore, are bad people. They're also very small, but they're ugly and they try to hurt people if they can. Usually they are supposed to live under bridges a lot. So Holly's a good leprechaun. She's tried to help protect the humans. Now there's a team from this leprechaun unit. Okay, they're all fairies. They come to rescue her using the full extent of their magic, as well as their extraordinarily advanced fairy technology. Ooh, so these fairies have modern technology. Extent just means the degree to which something is talked about or covered. You could say, did you buy any land down south? Oh, I bought a very extensive plot or lot. Extensive would be the noun form. To what extent do you have to, translate this? I have to translate the whole thing. So it's kind of the area or something that you're doing, how big it is. It's the scale of something.
The most often time I hear this is like if you're trespassing on someone's land, there'll be a sign there that says, if you come in here, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Yeah.
We will throw the book at you and you will go to jail and suffer for the rest of your life.
Ooh.
So in any case, yes, they're going to find out something about this advanced fairy technology. This team of law enforcers physically stops time around Artemis's home and employs dwarf Mulch Diggums, a convicted thief, to tunnel his way into the building. Gee, lots of things are happening here.
Right.
So we've got the leprechaun force here. They can stop time so it doesn't move. They can freeze time. And they also got this dwarf, which means kind of a short person who...
Usually bad, too, in these stories.
Yeah, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. He's a convicted thief, which means he was caught and sent to jail before. That's what convicted means. You were found guilty of your crime. He's got to tunnel his way into the building. Eventually, though, Artemis collects the ransom gold after he outsmarts the fairies. So the fairies and Artemis are trying to outsmart each other to get ahead of each other, but he's smarter than them. He outsmarts them and survives a magical bomb attack. The fairies try to bomb him, but he knew about it ahead of time. He outsmarted them.
So in the end, Artemis makes a deal with Holly. Remember, she's Captain, Holly's short, to return half the gold, that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, if she uses her magic to restore his mother's mental health. Obviously, Artemis loves his mom, and he wants her back to normal, the way she was before his dad was captured. So if you restore something, you bring it back to the way it was before. Return it to its former condition. A lot of guys are interested in restoring old cars. So they'll buy an old car that is in bad shape and they'll remake it, they'll repaint it, fix the engines, and they'll restore it back to its original condition.
Like my cousin Chet, he bought an old 1967 Chevrolet Corvair and he restored it to pristine condition and sold it for a lot of money.
Corvette? Corvair.
Corvair.
Ooh,
a lot of people
really
don't know
old.
about the Corvair.
No.
But in any case here, yes, indeed, you can restore a car and hopefully this magic will restore his mother back to her good old self and they can live as a happy crime family ever after. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
接着我们来看到第一段中间提到 By using his sharp mind, Artemis translates the text and forms a plan to capture a magical creature. 这里的 sharp 也就是很机敏、很敏锐的，借由他机敏的头脑呢 Artemis 就翻译了这个内文，拟定了一个捕捉魔法生物的计划。在这里 translate 是一个很重要的动词，在这里是指翻译的意思。举个例子来说，这部小说已经被翻译成多种语言，你就可以说 The novel has been translated into many languages. A translate 还有一个重要的意思，解释成为说明或者是表达的意思。我把他的沉默解释说明为拒绝，你就可以说 I translate his silence as a refusal. 回到这里的文章，那么他想要得到传说中位于彩虹尽头的黄金，他就想了很多的方式要抓到小精灵。而呢，在这里在第二段最后一句提到 Now, a team of leprechaun fairies came to rescue her using the full extent of their magic. 现在呢，这个地底的精英侦察队的一队精灵前去营救这个冬青这个小精灵，那么呢，全力使用他们的魔法。我们来看一下 extend 在这里有程度跟范围的意思。举个例子来说，在某种程度上，我对于这个事情呢会延迟这么久也是有责任的，就可以说 To a certain extent, I am responsible for the delay. 接着我们再来看到最后一段的第一句提到 The team physically stops time around Artemis's home and employs dwarf Mulch Diggums, a convicted thief, to tunnel his way into the building. 而精灵队伍呢，也确实停止了 Artemis 家里周围的时间，并且雇用了被定罪的这个窃犯侏儒草夫盖狄甘斯去挖地道进入这栋建筑物。这个句子呢，我们来看一下 convicted。convict 有证明某人有罪的意思。譬如说他被判犯有谋杀罪，你就可以说 He was convicted of murder。 而这个已经被判的这个窃犯呢，则被派去挖地道进入这栋建筑物。这一段的最后一句提到 In the end, Artemis makes a deal with Holly to return half the gold if she uses her magic to restore his mother's mental health. 故事的尾声 Artemis 跟冬青达成了协议，如果冬青可以用魔法恢复他母亲的心理健康，他也就可以把一半的黄金还回去。在这里的 restore 则是有使恢复健康的意思。OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
Okay, that's all for today, everybody, but please join us next time because we're going to talk about the actual author himself, Owen Colfer. So please join us then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie. See
Goodbye.
ya.